Well, I think that if we had some common sense gun violence prevention
Who gets
laws.
to say it's common sense? You?
Well, yes.
This is what it looks like when someone says they believe in constitutional rights until the Second Amendment shows up. Watch this entire exchange first, then I'll explain exactly why this response should scare the hell out of you.
I'm a former member of the ACLU of Minnesota board, and I believe in the First Amendment.
Good.
What about the Second Amendment? You believe in that one?
Don't have a strong.
You don't have just the ones that suit you there, Representative, right? What about that Second Amendment?
Well, I don't know if you heard, but we had a shooting in a school here in Minnesota recently. And
What's that got to do with the Second Amendment?
Well, I think that if we had some common sense gun violence prevention
Who gets
laws.
to say it's common sense? You?
Well, yes, I'm a legislator.
Exactly, and I think that's definitely the problem there.
Is it? Well,
Yes.
I think the problem is that
when you
children
use
are
that,
dying.
When you use that violent rhetoric around children, yeah, I'd say that you probably are not exercising a lot of common sense here, Representative.
I'm here as volunteer for the Minnesota Youth in Government. And the point of Minnesota Youth in Government is to encourage children to participate in our civic institutions, to learn about them, to learn how to exercise their constitutional rights.
I do that. I do the same thing. I haven't interfered in anything, but I do the same thing. I take children to shooting ranges, and I teach them to shoot, to exercise their Second Amendment rights that it seems like you want to take away.
I don't have strong opinions about the Second Amendment. I just care about
just the ones you want,
well.
right? And just those rights you think you need to care about.
Well,
but not the second. That's always the
people
litmus test for you folks. Always the litmus test.
I just want people to be able to live in peace.
Me too. That Second Amendment does that.
Really? Well, all I've seen here in Minnesota is people dying, including children.
Mm-hmm. What about the lives that are saved by guns? You don't talk about that, do you?
Does anybody die from fentanyl? I'm just wondering because the end all is get rid of guns, people don't die. Is fentanyl still killing people in Minnesota? Just wondering. Because it's illegal. Because it's illegal. The government, we don't hand out fentanyl. Is fentanyl killing people in Minnesota? See, this is where you need to count to 10. Too easy.
Now, let's talk about what you just watched. This woman opens by saying she believes in the First Amendment. She even frames herself as someone helping children exercise their constitutional rights. But the moment the Second Amendment enters the conversation, everything turns into feelings. Not law, not logic, not principle. Every time she's asked a direct question about the Second Amendment, she pivots to tragedy. And tragedy is not an argument. It's emotional leverage. When she's asked about who decides what common sense is, she says she does. That alone should scare the hell out of you. She never answers the question about defensive gun use. She never addresses the lives saved. She never engages the actual constitutional principle. And when that reality sets in, she does what people do when their worldview can't survive scrutiny. She acts like a child and walks away. That ain't strength. That is intellectual fragility. And that behavior matters because people like this do not just have opinions. They help shape policy. Here's the part that should really bother you if you're paying attention. She is standing there advocating for the First Amendment because she does not trust the government to leave speech alone. That is the entire premise of her involvement. Think about that. She does not trust the government enough to protect free speech without intrusion, so much so that she feels the need to actively advocate against it. But somehow, some fucking way, she is perfectly comfortable trusting the same government with a monopoly on violence. That contradiction never even crosses her mind. If you cannot trust the government with words, why the hell would you trust them with force? She never stops to ask herself that question because asking that question would require thinking past her feelings. This is why the conversation collapses every single time. She is not arguing policy. She is not arguing constitutional law. She is arguing emotional preference. Children are dying. This makes me feel bad. Something must be done. That is not how rights work. If emotional discomfort is the standard for erasing constitutional protection, then no right survives. None. Free speech does not survive tragedy. Due process does not survive tragedy. The right to a fair trial does not survive tragedy. And deep down, she knows that, which is why she would never accept common sense First Amendment laws, common sense speech restrictions, common sense protest limits, common sense licensing for opinions. She would lose her fucking mind. But when it comes to the Second Amendment, suddenly vagueness is acceptable. Suddenly feelings are enough. Suddenly she gets to decide. That is not compassion. That is arrogance. And this isn't about hating guns. This isn't even about anti-Second Amendment. Actually kind of is, when you really think about it and you boil it down. But even withstanding that, This is about intellectual incompetence paired with authority. Someone who cannot emotionally tolerate disagreement, someone who cannot answer basic follow-up questions, someone whose ideas collapse under minimal pressure has no business influencing constitutional rights. When she was confronted with logic, she did not rebut it, she did not counter it, she did not refine her argument. She fled like a child. And that tells you everything you need to know. When arguments are built on emotion, they cannot withstand scrutiny. They evaporate in the light. And when those people gain power, they do not govern with reason. They govern with feelings. That is the real danger. And honestly, what you just watched is a perfect example of fuck around and find out, because that's exactly what happened. She effed around by thinking her feelings were enough to override logic. She effed around by thinking emotions beat constitutional reasoning. She effed around by thinking she could stand there, say whatever felt good, and never have to defend it. And then she found out. She found out that the Second Amendment is not built on vibes. It is built on logic, on responsibility, on reality. And when her feelings ran into facts, she stormed off. That is FAFO. FAFO stands for fuck around and find out. It is a warning and a promise for anyone who thinks your freedom, your safety, or your family is something to play with. This design is for Americans who understand that freedom does not defend itself, that danger does not announce itself, and that rights don't survive on feelings alone. FAFO represents a mindset: strength over fear, responsibility over complacency, action over excuses. Those who respect your rights have nothing to fear. Those who threaten them eventually learn why the Second Amendment exists. If you want to wear something that's bold, direct, and unapologetically American, the FAFO collection is available right now at shop.mrcolion.noir.com. We have them in shirts, hats, and drinkware. All of it. So head over to the link in the description section and check out the FAFO design. As you can see here, right here on my hat. It isn't just a slogan. It is a standard, baby. And it's a reminder that the right to bear arms is the right to stay free. Politicians and tech giants don't want gun content to be recommended to you. And we're all fighting this culture war together. Now, you can help do your part by liking, commenting, subscribing to the channel, but most importantly, sharing this video with at least one person. Together, we can stop the suppression of our 2A rights. And don't forget to click the link in the description section of this video for the products that I mentioned in this video.